Hello. Welcome back to another video of the Luscious Living podcast. I'm your host, Celine Bilgin, founder of Luscious Living, where personal growth meets wellness. I'm also a holistic nutritionist that works with women's hormones health over in Calgary. I also have virtual consults, and I'm the author of the Painless Period guide. But what's important for you here is that we're talking about how to naturally reduce cortisol levels. You might have stumbled upon this video because you're actively looking at your blood work and you've been told that you have high cortisol levels. Maybe you've realized that some of the symptoms of high cortisol levels match you, which we're going to get into in this video, or something else that you've came across this video for a reason. I'm glad you're here because this is action-packed and I'm here to be of service to you because I know what it's like to feel uncomfortable in my body. I know what it's like to have high cortisol levels. I encourage you to look at my previous YouTube videos from a few years ago and you'll see that I definitely looked like I was not very healthy. And it's because I wasn't, and I was trying my best. I was still eating pretty well. I was still exercising, but there's a lot of other aspects that I had no idea that would help change the game for how I felt, how I looked. And my goal is to have more people in this world feeling their best, feeling empowered in their body. And because then that we can actually be present with the people that we love, with our mission, and really stop having our body get in the way of our life. Okay. So if that sounds like a good time for you, you're right in the right place. We're going to go over what are the symptoms of high cortisol levels. Please know that there is also a potential to have low cortisol levels or to have shifting cortisol levels because your cortisol levels do shift throughout the day. So for example, if you ever have a second wind around 11 p.m. at night, it's because your cortisol levels naturally rise at that time and you will have a second wind at that time. So it's not in your head, not just you, it's your body, okay? So we're going to work with your body. Then we're going to go into some key foods you can eat, look at some key lifestyle practices that help with cortisol. This is all going to be keeping in mind your natural rhythm as a woman with your different cycles. And if you are perimenopausal or menopausal, postmenopausal, this is also for you, okay? So this is for all of us who are looking to naturally reduce cortisol levels. And I'm so excited for you to try some of these tips and let me know how you feel, okay? So first things first, my friends, we're going to go into what are the common symptoms and signs of high cortisol levels. High cortisol levels can often be felt. You can definitely get blood work. A Dutch test is a fantastic hormone panel that I recommend. You can get this through a wonderful naturopath. And you can come back to this video as well to really look at, okay, what are the things I can do? So now high cortisol levels are going to look like weight gain, especially around the tummy, especially around the upper body and the face. And estrogen is going to actually hang out in the hips and thighs a little bit more. And for me, those areas have always been more of a challenge. And so you can't really spot reduce. You can't spot reduce at all unless you work on some of these hormones as well, okay? So you're going to notice, again, weight gain, upper back, face, the arms, and the stomach. You're going to be tired all the time. No matter how much sleep you get, that fatigue is going to be with you, especially in the morning, but really all throughout the day as well. And you might even feel tired but wired by the time you go to bed. You might get frequent infections or frequent colds because high cortisol levels is actually going to suppress the immune system. This is why it's so important to really have a positive outlook and protect yourself, of course, as well when it comes to quote unquote cold and flu season, because that worry is going to actually suppress your immune system as well. Also, acne and other skin issues, especially along the jawline. If you're getting headaches, there's multiple reasons for headaches, and I would love to have a whole video topic on headaches alone and migraines and what I've seen in clinic that is very effective. You might also get a dry mouth, GI issues like bloating and gas after you eat, and I see this very commonly with women I work with that have chronic gut health issues. Is yes, there is a food aspect, but a huge component of of stress. Okay. Because I was thinking in my head, stress or supplements and food, but then the big aspect of this is stress as well. All right. Increased blood pressure, increased feelings of anxiety, low libido, or no libido at all, poor sleep if you're waking up at night as well, especially around 1 to 4 a.m., if you're feeling irritable. For those women who are more, this is also a genetic component, but starting to get facial hair growth as well, um, decreased ability to recover from exercise as well. So if you feel like your muscles are always sore, you're just not recovering, those are all really, really important symptoms to that your body is speaking to you. And I always say symptoms are not random. Our body is speaking to us. We've just never really been told on how to listen. And so that's really what I find my big role is here to help you understand your body and appreciate her even more. Okay. All right, my friends. So we're going to get into some key tips that are, some of them are free, some of them are low cost, some things that you can easily do on a daily basis or weekly basis to feel your best and naturally reduce your cortisol levels. So here we go. Number one is to increase sunlight exposure. And we're going to go into different options, whether it's winter, it's cold where you are, because I live in a cold climate. Summer is my absolute favorite. I'm outside all day, all day long when I'm not working. But we're going to be looking at between when you wake up and ideally before 10 a.m., yet you're getting direct sunlight on your skin. This is without sunscreen, and this is why that before 10 a.m., sometimes even between 7 and 9 a.m. is so important, because I don't want you to get scorched. I don't want you to have sun damage, but having 10 to 20 minutes of direct sunlight on your skin, ideally about 40% of your body, your skin, your arms, your legs, get that sunlight. You're getting vitamin D as well, but that direct sunlight has been shown to help with morning cortisol levels. And that is actually going to determine the rest of your day, how you have a slump or not, if you are feeling tired but wired, etc. If you are having a light box in the winter, you can get these online. You want to actually have 20 to 30 minutes within an hour of waking to get the same effect. And so you might be putting on your makeup or answering emails while you actually have this light box. And I do recommend that. Is it the exact same as sunlight? Likely not. However, it still does make a difference. And this is not, however, the same as getting in vitamin D supplements, because it's actually the light that we need as well. Okay. So we're going to also talk about diet, of course, or food, nutrition, which is my favorite thing as a holistic nutritionist to talk about. So we're going to look at some 5 key foods you can pick up at the grocery store, as well as what are some kind of templates to have in mind when you are looking at what to eat as well. So these foods are either going to be high in vitamin C, they're going to be high in fiber, high in protein, and high in omega-3s. These are not, every single food does not have all of these components, which is why it's important to have the variety here. But omega-3s have been shown to decrease inflammation in the body. This is significant because most people have a little bit of inflammation. If you especially have anything ending in itis, arthritis, gastritis, it means there's inflammation in the body. And that's, of course, on the extreme level. We want to even prevent that level. So that's why antioxidant foods and omega-3s are so important. And please know that short-term stress is actually very healthy. It's called hormesis. This is where fasting comes in, cold exposure comes in, and it actually helps us grow. Versus chronic stress does not help us grow. It actually ends up creating disease, okay? And so if we look at these foods, they're going to be high in omega-3s, to lower inflammation. Vitamin C also helps to lower inflammation in the body. And so we're going to be looking at that. Protein is going to help stabilize blood sugar, which when blood sugar is going in swings, you're also going to increase cortisol levels, okay? So we have number 1, a food to pick up this week is dark chocolate. ideally 85% or higher. I know it's bitter, but bitter is actually very good. That flavor is good for the liver. So you have chocolate because it's an antioxidant rich food. And again, antioxidants are really important for combating inflammation, which is spiking cortisol levels. We have citrus fruit, lemons, grapefruit. We have limes, and also, so high in vitamin C, this could also be cherries, this could be kiwis, this could be bell peppers as well, broccoli. So anything high in vitamin C is going to cool inflammation. We have fatty fish. So this is the omega-3 powerhouses, sardines, mackerel, salmon. You could also do walnuts and chia seeds that are high in omega-3s, which are going to help with inflammation in the body. Grass-fed beef is actually shown to be much higher in omega-3s than conventionally grown beef as well. And so if you can, I would budget in grass-fed beef in there if you do eat red meat as well. Leafy greens is another one. So having spinach or kale, cabbage, I am a huge proponent of having as many leafy greens as you can each day and each week. You will notice a difference in your skin and how you feel overall when you have more leafy greens, and your bowels will be much better as well. Then it's not really a food, but another item to pick up or to increase in your intake this week is green tea. Green tea also contains L-theanine, which is naturally calming as well in the body. And this is also going to help reduce cortisol levels directly or indirectly there, okay? Now, when we look at what are some of the foods to be eating when it comes to naturally reducing cortisol levels, is that you want to aim for about 20 to 30 grams of protein for each meal. And for reference, an egg is about 6 grams of protein. Or a chicken breast, for example, 4 to 6 ounces can be anywhere from 30 to 36 grams of protein. And so you are, and I'm going to talk about like protein powder. I use a wonderful plant-based protein powder, and it has about 18 grams of protein per scoop. Okay, and these can range from 12 grams to and up from there. So each meal, whether you eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, whether you're having a snack, whether you're not having breakfast, doesn't matter to me here. We are going to talk about fasting in a moment, but you want to make sure that you have protein to stabilize blood sugar for every single meal. Okay, it's going to keep you fuller longer. It's going to help your hormones as well. Now, when it comes to fasting, as I mentioned, is a form of hormesis, which can actually help your body benefit. Okay, it can actually get to a point where it's called autophagy, where your body is literally killing off old cells it does not need, and this is so important for your overall health. However, the time that is recommended for women to be fasting in their reproductive years is to look at it between your follicular and ovulatory phase. So this is right after your period until about the middle point. And then your luteal phase and menstrual phase, I do not want you to be fasting. I do want you to be having a protein-rich breakfast. I don't want you to be skipping meals, because at this point you are much more sensitive to blood sugar spikes and cortisol spikes, and you will actually end up having a more difficult period, and that can lead to other hormonal issues long term. So if you are fasting, if you desire to do so during your follicular and ovulatory phase, and when you do eat, breaking your fast with something like eggs or chickpeas or chicken, whatever your protein source is, okay, that you prefer. Now, we also want to be having at least 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day. Most people are completely under eating fiber. And that's why we're starting to see a lot more colon health diseases, even, and it's quite preventable by eating more whole foods. So the foods that are the most highest sources of fiber is going to be beans, actually. And if your body does not sit well with beans, I encourage you to buy beans dried and soak them, then cook them. It does take longer, but you will likely not have any issues when you eat beans after that. So beans, broccoli, apricots, tomatoes, cucumbers, cabbage, quinoa, all of these foods are high in fiber, and you're going to have to eat them with every single meal to actually hit that goal of about 25 to 30 grams of fiber per day. And this is so important to also bulk up your stool and therefore eliminate excess estrogen, which is a whole other conversation. Okay. Now, if you also struggle with cortisol levels, I do want you to eat about that 30 minutes range of protein when you wake up to stabilize your cortisol levels along with sunlight. So if you are, let's say you know you have in your blood work that you have high cortisol levels, I would not want you to be fasting. I would want you to maybe you have some coffee, or ideally some matcha or white tea, green tea, black tea, whatever it is, with a protein-rich breakfast, okay? So really, really important there. Now, supplements. Supplements, I feel like sometimes health practitioners can go supplement crazy. I like to look at the essentials, okay? For example, we talked about vitamin C. I don't believe, unless you're traveling, you need to supplement with vitamin C. Ideally, you're getting this from fresh lemons. You have a grapefruit as a snack. You have cut up tomato and cucumber. Not that cucumber is extremely high in vitamin C, but let's say you have a Greek salad, for example, okay? Something like that is really easily accessible. However, magnesium, for example, at least in North America, we are severely depleted in magnesium in the soil. After I graduated university, I went to go live on 4 different organic farms, and we would test the soil, and magnesium was always having to be added back in. And most of the time, the farming practices that we have today, it's not a care as much, to be honest. It's just about fast production, and I get that. It's a whole other conversation of its own, but you have to be adding in magnesium on your own. And this is why I do love having magnesium on a daily basis, if not every second day. And let me show you, because it's right here. I'm not sponsored by this brand at all. I mean, they totally can sponsor me. But Natural Calm, this is if you like drink versions of, like, let's say mocktails, whatever it is. If you get a supplement like this, it can also be pill form. You can also get it in a lotion or a spray. I'm not crazy about the gummies, to be honest. But if you have magnesium, you're going to notice a difference in your sleep, anxiety, or stress levels as well. And it's really, really important, especially if you're getting restless legs, chocolate cravings, or once in a while you're getting twitches in your eye as well. Okay. So magnesium is one of those key supplements I recommend for cortisol levels. Another one is omega-3 supplementation, or ideally cod liver oil. When you get cod liver oil, you're also getting vitamin D. And vitamin D is also going to be very important for your overall health, bone health, etc. Speaking of bone health, you need calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D to work together. I do not recommend supplementing with calcium because it's very easily available in food and water. Now, 2 herbs that have been shown clinically to support healthy levels of cortisol is ashwagandha and rhodiola. Now, I do not recommend just getting these supplements on your own. I speak to so many men and women who are on these different supplements, and it's actually not right for them. So, for example, turmeric. Everyone hears about the benefits of turmeric. However, for some people, it's really not right for them because they're already very, almost like hot on the inside. Okay, so turmeric would not be a good choice for some people. So for some people, ashwagandha is not a good choice. And so this is why it is so important to actually work with a health practitioner that knows you, knows your goals, knows your symptoms, and can really understand what you specifically need. Now, another good one that I've also taken myself, and this is really personal to you, is phosphatidylserine. This is also really wonderful for high stress levels. And there is a supplement I love called Cortalign that's used, that both of those ones, Cortalign and phosphatidylserine, are meant for short-term use as well. Okay. So now we talked about sunlight. We've talked about nutrition principles. I also want to talk about some lifestyle principles that are really going to help naturally reduce cortisol levels. And some of these tips might seem simple, but it's the human mind that wants to complicate things. So make sure you are mastering the basics before you do anything else crazy. Okay. So, number one here is really aim to create a consistent bedtime routine. If you are a woman who has young kids, this is going to be impossible. So please take what resonates and leave the rest. But for those of us who don't have kids yet, or maybe the kids have left the nest already, trying to have that consistent bedtime routine is going to really allow your body to get into a natural rhythm. Because otherwise, as I mentioned, if you're staying up past 11 p.m., which, by the way, over the summer, I am totally, totally guilty of as well, you start to spike cortisol again, which you don't actually need to be doing. Okay. You get that second wind, you stay up later. Keeping your bedroom temperature between 15 to 19 degrees or 60 and 67 Fahrenheit. This is going to allow your body to cool down so that you can actually fall asleep. And in the summer, if you don't have AC in your home, which a lot of us don't because it's always so cold, I do like to have I know this sounds so weird, but I wet a towel and then I just kind of cuddle it to fall asleep. A fan also works. I personally do not like the sound of the fan. We've tried so many different fans. So it's all a very personal preference there. I also want you to make sure that you don't have random lights, like your toothbrush light. And if you have a TV in the bedroom, if you have any other kind of light, I want you to try to shut it off, turn it to the side, cover it, because your skin actually has photoreceptors, right? Which we talked about the sunlight in the beginning. So you're actually stimulating your body when you have even a little bit of light there. So try to get blackout curtains if you need, an eye mask, and dim any sort of light that's in your bedroom, and even consider an amber colored light in as your night lamps, because blue light from our technology actually starts to stimulate the wake cycle, okay, which we do not want at that time. And the connection between light and the circadian rhythm and ovulation is all intricately connected. And that's, again, a whole other conversation, but that is really, really key, is having that restful time for sleep. Another strategy that I personally love and use is something called legs up the wall pose. And you can Google this, or even, so it's when you put your back flat against the wall and your legs up the wall and you just hang out there for a few minutes. And I'm telling you, it works. It helps calm down your nervous system. It's very soothing. You can listen to meditation or music or absolutely nothing. And if you just hung out there for 5 minutes, you would notice a huge difference there, okay? Now, the other aspect that I love about this, and I just recently started to do this, is the 4-7-8 breathing technique. And we're going to do it together here quickly. And that's when you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7, breathe out for 8. And this is noticeably calming, and we're going to do it together so you can see, okay? So we're going to breathe in 4, hold 7, release for 8, and do that for 3 times. So let's go. Mm. I already feel so much calm. That is amazing. So this is a breathing technique you can do before you open up your laptop, before you see a client, before you step into work. It can really make a difference and help you be more present and calm with the people that you love. Okay, then exercise. This is something that I know you hear about quite a bit, but it really is worth talking about. So the recommended activity amount is 150 minutes of aerobic activity. So something like cardio or walking, whatever it is, per week. And this does not have to be the first thing that you start to do. So if you have young kids, if you're not used to exercising, you don't have to do this right away. When I started my fitness journey, I only walked for 5 minutes at a time per day. When I started Pilates, I started to just do 5 minutes because I just could not fathom doing a workout for half an hour, a walk for half an hour. It just was too far out of reach. So I slowly started to get walks in, started to do Pilates, and that changed my entire life because that allowed me to go for sometimes a 2-hour walk now, or to be able to walk, like around in North America, we're so used to driving. I'm like, oh, I'll walk to the gym. It's 23 minutes away. And so getting used to your body, walking, moving, you'll start to crave it. And this does not have to be the first thing that you do. You don't have to go crazy right off the bat. Please get in 5 minutes a day. If you have a treadmill, I know you're tired, but I want you to really commit yourself to your goal versus how you feel. There's times where I'm screaming and kicking out the door. Not really, but I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym. Don't make me. Nobody. Because I don't want to go. I'm tired. I'm feeling lazy, whatever it is, but I make myself go anyway. And I know you can do the same. Now, the last few tips I have is to really consider looking at the social connections in your life, whether it's the people at work, it's the people at home, it's the people that you surround yourself with. Really looking at, do I first and foremost have people that are supportive in my life? Am I someone who is supportive that I can attract those kinds of people? I have definitely, after 2020, or even right before then, I somehow have completely changed my friend group. It just kind of happened naturally. And I've started to prioritize seeing friends more because I can get into a loop of working a lot, studying a lot, and working on fitness, whatever it is, where I completely forget about my social life. And then I think, why am I not feeling as fulfilled as I possibly could? And it's when I start to add in that social time is when I really notice, this is what life is about as well. This is what makes life luscious and sweet. And so prioritizing that social time is really, really important. And I encourage you to fit it in. Those having friendships is absolutely key for living our best life, our sweetest life, our most luscious life. And so let this be a reminder to reach out to someone that you love to have a coffee. And if not a coffee, I love going for walk and talks as well. And you can also consider joining a book club, a hiking group, a volunteer organization, FaceTiming if your friends live out of town, but please do make it a priority. Last few tips is to spend more time in nature. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but whether it's gardening, whether it's going for a walk where you can be around trees, you would have to drive a few minutes to go, or maybe if it's quite a trek and you have to drive half an hour, schedule time on a Sunday or a day off where you can spend time, whether it's by yourself, with a friend, with a family member, and really get in that time with nature. There is a whole therapy that came from Japan called Shirin-yoku, which is called forest bathing, and it was actually prescribed to patients who were having a high amount of stress. Then I also want to chat about hydration. So dehydration is one of the biggest causes of high blood sugar, by the way, and obviously over time, and too much caffeine, so more than 200 milligrams of caffeine, so that's about a cup and a half or 2 cups of coffee. If you have espresso, it's a little bit less. If you overdo it, you're going to notice yourself more irritable, more anxious, etc. So try to limit that. And if you are having troubles with sleep, that's what I want you to work on. If it's boredom, whatever it is, if it's flavor, there's so many options at looking at, like a mushroom coffee. It's looking at green tea or matcha, whatever it is. I do want you to reduce your cortisol intake by reducing your caffeine intake. 2 other things on here is journaling, and maybe you can have some aromatherapy such as bergamot or lavender or ylang ylang, jasmine, whatever it is, and writing down what's on your brain and just giving yourself a brain dump. This is going to be absolutely key in really making sure that you are not storing all what's in your head constantly up there and just emptying the garbage, essentially, letting yourself feel what you need to feel. I always use this whenever I'm feeling stuck. I write out my goals, who I'm becoming, my dreams. If I'm feeling anxious or sad or whatever it is, I write it all out. And I just start that by saying, I'm feeling anxious because da 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 da, and let it all out. And if you have to burn it or rip it after, do it. But please let yourself empty your mind. And maybe this is a good time to grab a journal, go for your walk, grab a coffee or matcha, whatever it is, and brain dump. It really, really does work. Okay, you don't need to store everything in your mind. Then the last tip here is to limit technology use. So this is something that, of course, I deal with, and I see this in clinic every day, is especially phone use at night. And there is not a single person who feels better after technology after a long period of time, unless you're maybe watching some of these YouTube videos. Really, because we are in comparison mode, we are in scroll mode. I want you to get that habit out. And so for me, I often will delete Instagram off my phone. It's actually deleted again yesterday, because whenever I find myself in a habit of, I'm going to go get ready for bed, and then I start to sit on my bed and start to scroll, I start to create a pattern of that. I gotta nip it. And so I deleted Instagram off my phone. I do use it for my business, but I'm like, you know what? Unless I treat myself as a child in a way. I'm like, unless you're going to only use it for business and you find yourself scrolling, well, then you get a timeout. And so if that means muting accounts, if that means that you have an app that locks you out for a certain period of time, if it makes it sense for you to delete it on weekends or certain periods of time, then please do that. Because I don't want you to look back on your life and think, oh my God, I spent so many hours. I spent 10 hours. I spent 5 hours of my week each week on my phone during my youth or during my time where I have grandkids, during my life, because it does rob us. And I also want you to be mindful of who you're listening to, what you're listening to, looking at the lyrics of songs. What are they actually saying? It's actually creepy when you start to look at some of the lyrics of the popular music out there. And if you look at certain music videos and you're like, do I want this energy? Does this feel good? Does this have a good message? Is this, and some people are like, oh, you don't have to take it so seriously. Well, music can be very hypnotic. What you see through your eyes can actually make a big impression, whether we realize it or not. And so when it comes to technology, not only limiting the use, but also carefully examining and curating, what are you listening to? What is the messaging behind this? And we might not think it affects us, but it absolutely can. And so this is all to really, really help us live a more present, prosperous, abundant life in terms of love, in terms of our goals, in terms of what we're here to do on this planet. And having healthier cortisol levels is going to help us with that. And you deserve to feel incredible in your body, in your skin. And I really hope this message was valuable for you. If you have any questions, you have anything that would help you on your journey that I can do for you, please let me know below. I'm at your service, and I cannot wait to see you again. Please remember to like and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.